A very pleasant evening to you out there. Many thanks for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on Equa Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Equa Television International. Do well to join the conversation. Tonight on National Talk, President Bola Tinubu has appealed to Nigerians to shelve a planned end bad governance protest slated for 1st to 10th of August 2024. The Information Minister Mohammed Idris, who briefed selected State House correspondent after a meeting with the President on Tuesday, said Tinubu urged the protest organizers to shelve the plan and wait the President's response to their complaints. The protest against economic hardship, which is gaining traction on social media, has been scheduled to held across all states of the Federation as well as the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Prices of food and basic commodities have skyrocketed in the last month as Nigeria battle one of the country's worst inflation and economic crisis sparked by the government policies of petrol subsidy removal and the unification of forex windows. Some of the demands include the reinstatement of petrol and tertiary education subsidy, restoring affordable electricity tariffs, and reducing import duties to previous values established before the economic crisis. Others are declaring a state of emergency on inflation, more transparency in public administration, public disclosure and reduction in the salaries and allowances of political office holders, and reforms to the judicial system. The federal government, through the National Orientation Agency, NOA, and the Nigerian Police Force, as well as the House of Representatives, have warned against the planned demonstration. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and embattled Senator Aline Dume asked President to address the demands of the displaced persons, who mostly are youths. In the meantime, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority's Chief Executive Farouk Ahmed had said Dangote and other local refineries have been producing inferior fuels. Aliko Dangote, however, denied the allegation by testing diesel from his refinery on July 20th, when federal lawmakers visited the plant and also called for a probe into the allegation of the NMDPRA. The former Kano State Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, who weighed in on the disagreement between the refinery's management and the regulatory authorities on Wednesday, July 7, 2024, through a reaction on his X handle, blamed what he described as unnecessary fuses on vested interest, saying it could damage investors' confidence in the Nigeria economy. Similarly, human rights lawyer Femi Falana has expressed worry over the ongoing dispute surrounding Dangote Refinery, stating that it sends a negative signal to investors about Nigeria. On National Talk tonight, I'm being joined by Samson Ike Esquire, who is a legal practitioner. And tonight is going to be giving us perspective on these national issues. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for creating time to join us on the show tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get to the crux of the matter. The conversation has been around the End Bad Governance protest that is actually slated for 1st to 10th of August. A lot of people have been asking questions about who are the faces behind this protest that are yet to actually come out and show themselves. But of course, through social media handles, we've seen this End Bad Governance protests like going viral and gaining momentum, and a lot of people are saying, see, we are ready, we are set, we are going to tour the streets to protest against what is being described as economic hardship, like prices of food and basic commodities, of course, have skyrocketed over the months, and then Nigerians have been battling with what is being described as the worst inflation and economic crisis that obviously was sparked by some of the policies that this administration actually brought in or put in place, like the removal of fuel subsidy and, of course, the unification of the forex window. Some are saying our demand is actually to have reinstatement of petrol and even tertiary education subsidy. We need the affordable electricity tariff. There's need to reduce import duties and amongst other needs. And of course, you agree with me that Nigerians are actually faced with hardship. Some are finding it really difficult to feed. Like it used to be 3 square meal, it is now translated to 011, and at some point it was as we speak now, for some people it's 001, and for some, like, they are just at the mercy of what the day actually provides to them. So things are really hard, and this end bad governance protest is slated, and August 1st is really near. So what is your perspective on this hardship protest? There have been a lot of revelation. We had the DSS saying that, see, we have uncovered some of the faces behind this, and there's likelihood that this thing is going to be hijacked, and there's going to be a lot of violent protests. So military are also saying that though you have your fundamental right to protest, but we will not allow you cross the line. It has to be peaceful. The president has been up and about meeting with different stakeholders just to ensure that this protest does not end. But I would like to get your perspective on this planned protest, End Bad Governance. What is your take on this?
Thanks for this question on the vast issue of the nation's economy and all that. The 1st of August to 10th of August, hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria, by my assessment, is sacrosanct. In fact, when you say that some Nigerians go to bed on an empty stomach, that would be an understatement. The fact remains that 80% of Nigerians go to bed on an empty stomach. It may sound as if I am exaggerating, but that is a fact. You can imagine a family of 6 who before now used to buy some measures of cereals like, what do you call them, corn and the rest of them, and make some pap. It's no longer affordable. The masses, they crunch. I must tell you that the hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria that is trending, and one other that you are forgetting is the hashtag Day of Rage. If not actually well handled by the government, may snowball into something mightier than the government. And however they are looking at it. To start with, a protest is the civic right of the people. As a citizen of a country, you have your rights, you have your obligations. And one of the fundamental rights, when you talk about human beings, there are plethora of instruments, both international and national, that vest these inalienable rights. The human rights that is natural. Once you are a human being and given birth to, you have these rights. And one of such rights is the right to movement, the right to life. Right, when you talk of right to life, it's not enough to live. When you talk about right to life, you are talking about living under a conducive environment and also having the amenities for a good life. But what do we have in this country? Those rights are technically being denied the citizens. So when you talk about the fundamental right, this protest, peaceful assembly, that is just what the Nigerian citizens are saying. We have the right to say no, that we've had enough. The thing is crunchy. We are feeling the impact. It's devastating. And we can no longer take it. We have our voice which cannot be muffled. So from my own perspective, I think the Nigerians are going to stand up against the bad governance in this country. Because we've had it to the neck. We've actually had enough. So when you see Nigerians vibrating, they are angry. And to tell you that after the election, we had expectations. Yes, you have won the election, The days of campaign and the electioneering is over. We want to see you, like you said, hit the ground running positively. But what are we saying? So the Nigerians are saying, no, we have to say something. And that thing they intend saying, by the 1st of August, I think Nigerians are going to speak with one voice if nothing is done by the sitting government.
So you are very optimistic that by 1st of August, there's going to be this End Bad Governance protest. Well, I'm not unaware of the hashtag, the day of
Day of Rage.
Day of Rage, because when you talk about rage, you're talking about anger, and of course, anger, though a natural emotion, it shows itself in at different levels, and it's tilting towards the violence, negative aspect, and of course, we know that when it is tilting toward that direction, it's going to be destructive, and the Constitution or the right to protest does not guarantee for violence, and that is why the military are saying, see, though you have the fundamental right to actually protest, to show your grievances, but we will not allow you cross that path. And that's why I'm asking this question, talking about the protest being the democratic right of the citizens. You are an expert on the subject. And then, yes, the citizens have the right to protest. In years back, we've seen even the presidents come out to protest in 2012, and then we saw the president too being part of the protest, and even other protests, ending military regime and all of that. And this goes a long way to show you that this is constitutional. But this time around, something is different, because we are seeing the government being up and about to ensure that this protest does not take place. And I'm just wondering what is actually different this time around. If in 2012 we see people touring the street and then saying, no, you must reverse the hike in fuel price, and then today people are saying we are going to protest and it's about ending bad governance. We want the government to reverse the prices or to return subsidies on petroleum and all of that. What is actually different? Why is the government up and about trying to halt this strike? What do you see playing out? We've seen the president for the past few days meeting with traditional rulers, the governors, and even some stakeholders, trying to say that, see, do not allow this take place. In fact, the president categorically said, shelve this protest. What do you see different that is probably making the government or the president saying shelve this strike? The members of House of Representatives are saying shelve these strikes. Even some traditional rulers have come out to say, see, shelve these strikes. We are going to meet our people and tell them, especially the youth, don't go into this, because they see some tendency of violence playing out and all of that. Do you see any difference between what is playing out now and what has happened before? Because in time past, we've seen people protest. We've even seen security agencies going out to even protect them. So why is it that this time around, what we are having is a semblance of threat? Nobody should go the path of protesting, and if you go, we are not going to take it lightly and all of that. Do you see anything different playing out?
Actually, there is nothing different. And even Mr. President have told us that he participated or partook in process in days gone by. But he told us it was peaceful. For those of us that were grown enough to witness such protests, we can say that it is peaceful to certain extents. But let me go back to the hashtag Day of Rage. Hashtag Day of Rage. People could come together and raise their voice higher and say, no, we can no longer take it. That is rage. You can shout to high heavens to protest without touching or vandalizing or playing havoc. You can do certain things on your own that doesn't have to do with destruction of anything, be it human life or property. Now, the question you asked, if this protest is anything going to happen that differs from what we have witnessed, the answer is no. And why do I say no? It is often said that the guilty is always afraid. The government is jittery. They are not doing the right thing. And the people are simply saying no. If you do, there are demands. A few days back, one-time minister in this country, Obie Ezekwesili, simply said, we are making two demands. One, do not stop the protesters. Secondly, guarantee protection. You protect them. That is all. And most times, they say that if you are going to have a rally or a demonstration or a protest, that you need permit from the police. That permit doesn't say that police have to grant you permission to hold a rally. No. That permit is simply saying, please come and guide and protect us against external incursion or attack from outsiders. That is the permission or the permit that you sought or you seek from the government or the police. Not that the police had to vet your right to protest or to have a rally. No. The police can't stop you because it is your constitutional right. The police acts that sometimes they tend to sway to is subject to the ground norm. The ground norm, when we talk about the ground norm, we are talking about the Constitution. And the law is that any legislation that runs foul by being inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, to the extent of its inconsistency, is null and void. So when they say that you have no right to stop protesters who are peacefully demonstrating or venting out their anger on the government. When I say venting their anger on the government by simply saying we can no longer take it.
So what about in situations whereby like it has been discovered that there are tendencies for hoodlums to hijack the process? We have reports by the UN saying that, see, there are tendencies that this thing is going to be turned violent. And then even the DSS are saying, see, we have uncovered people behind this, the sponsors, and then this is the whole idea is political and it's get towards sabotaging this administration and then maybe targeting the leaders at the central and all of that. Do you not see that it is needful for the police or the security agencies to come in when this protest is tilting towards violence? You recall that during NSAS protests, yeah, we had issues of vandalization, like people breaking into stores and all of that. That in such instances where they have reports, they have information that this protest is going to be violent, do you not think that they have responsibility to protect the citizens?
A duty upon them. It is incumbent on them. You have discovered, yes. Then you can prevent. Part of the government police duty is to detect and to prevent. You have had intelligence, yes. It may be its probability, I believe. Because if you say you have discovered the sponsors, tell us. Make it open. There is nothing secret, or it's not a hide and seek game. When you say you have discovered the protesters or the sponsors, who are they? Are they faceless human beings? Now, when you discover, now it becomes your duty to stop or to prevent from happening. That is, if you heard me, I said that part of the permission being sought by rallying or the protesters or peaceful demonstration is for you to protect the people that are protesting from being attacked by the so-called hoodlums. Who are the hoodlums? Anybody can be a hoodlum, even the police. Sorry to say that. I respect the police very well. But then sometimes there are bad eggs in every sphere of life. In every sector, we have them. They are always there. So telling us that it might be that you have uncovered that some hoodlums are going to hijack the protest and unleash mayhem on. What is your duty? Your first duty as a government is to protect the life and property of the citizens. And any government that fails to do this is not worth the allegiance of the citizens. So if you have, sometimes when we look at this, it's sometimes annoying when we give a lame duck excuses of why we should not or why we could not live up to our responsibilities and expectations. We have the National Security Advisor. It's a very, very powerful seat. You don't just occupy that seat for occupying sake. You have unearthed or revealed, you have found out that something is imminent, danger is imminent. Then what are you doing? What are you advising the government to do? Do you fold your arms? It's not enough to say don't protest. Yes, the United Nations have said that. Yes, others have said that. Remember that there was a forecast, or do I call it a doomsday prophecy by the United States that Nigeria will disintegrate by the year 2015. But we have lived beyond that. We are now in the 9th year after their doom's prophecy, and we are still together. So sometimes it's just out of fear that certain persons will say, we have done this, we have discovered this, whereas there is non-existence of such fallacious assertions. How do you put it now? You are crying or you are shouting wolf where there exists none.
All right, the position of the opposition parties is very sacrosanct as far as the democratic setting is concerned. And in all of these, the planned protests, we've seen allegations around, it is all the handiworks of opposition parties. We've seen the likes of Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election, saying he's supporting this bad governance protest because the people are actually suffering. Like the policies are actually anti-people. And even though we've seen the likes of Atiku, even Peter Obi of the Labour Party, prior to the election, saying that, we're going to remove fuel subsidy when we emerge as president, talking about all the corruption revolving around it. And then now we're seeing the likes of Atiku Abubakar supporting the protest, the likes of Peter Obi. There are also allegations against Peter Obi saying, he's behind the protest, like sponsoring this protest, even though he has come out to say that's just defaming, and he's suing Onanuga for that statement. Yeah. And also SDP leadership are also saying we are supporting the citizens, the people that are protesting, will support them, even though we are not coming out, but we are supporting them. Peaceful protest is the fundamental and critical right of the citizens. But what sense do you make of the positions of the opposition party in all of this? And then the position, like vis-a-vis the position of the leading party, like the APC are saying, shelve this protest. The president has been up and about to say, shelve this. So what do you make of their position, the ruling party and then the opposition?
Before I go into answering that question, the mayor of Abuja, or the minister, Nyesom Wike, I heard him. He's interested and is as well in support of the proposed protest. Is he also an opposition? And now when you talk about opposition, any government that doesn't have a strong opposition will definitely be weak. What is the duty of the opposition? The opposition is that one of their major duty is to make the sitting government sit on edge, to be on their toes at all times, sitting up and living up to their responsibilities. Where there are no oppositions, that the leaders go to sleep and they will abdicate their duties. They won't do what is expected of them. But part of the opposition If Atiku is in support, both financially, he has not done anything wrong. He's doing his duty as an opposition party to make sure that the government is standing on its toes 247 by attending to the needs of the citizenry. So there must always be opposition, and opposition will always attack you when you are going wrong. Let me ask us, if everything is normal and Atiku say Nigerians should protest, will anybody listen to him? I don't think so. So if they are saying, let's stand up and fight, no fight, no fight, no fight. Let's stand up and make these people live up to their responsibilities as a government. It has not said anything wrong. Prominent Nigerians are in support of this protest. And for me, I see nothing wrong in the protest. Yes, there are appeals.
So if it is nothing wrong and if it's something to go by, why are they faceless?
Who?
The people that are supporting and like some of the people that are sponsoring, and like, why are they faceless?
When you talk about sponsorship, in what aspect? How? What is the level of the sponsorship? Is it financial sponsorship? Is it moral support?
Like both ways.
There is, me personally, don't see anything wrong in anybody sponsoring this, because we all will agree that the government is not doing well, that the people are suffering, that our economy is in a state of comatose.
So do you agree to those people saying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should come out and address Nigerians? Because you just mentioned you want him to come out and address Nigerians.
Of course.
Okay, if you want him to come out and address Nigerians in all of this, what effect or impact does it have on unemployment, poverty, among some of the issues?
It's not just addressing the nation. There are demands. One of the demands is, yes, you removed this oil subsidy, and we are seeing a negative effect, which is having a ripple effect in other sectors or in the entire economy of the nation. Presupposedly, there was nothing in place to cushion its effect. Ordinarily, before you remove the subsidy, there should be a mechanism in place to cushion its effects. Okay, you remove the subsidy, then money comes. That subsidy is in terms of money that is paid to the marketers and other power players in that sector. That's money that is no longer going there. Where is it going to? Because
the president before now said that the problem is that we're paying subsidy on petroleum at the detriment of other sectors like education, transportation, health, and all of that. So when the subsidy is removed, this money is going back to other sectors. But we are having hike in school fees and all of that.
Why can't you just come out and tell ourselves the truth? Sometimes people will say, bring back our corruption. If corruption is about the subsidy that is there, and we saw the effect that it's not as harsh as it is now, then bring back our corruption.
So you are aligning with just saying reverse the removal of petroleum subsidy?
Yes. And before, I am not totally against the removal of the subsidy. But it's a gradual process. You have to put mechanism in place to cushion the effect. And at the right time, when you remove it, nobody feels it.
But of course, we know that development is not without hurdles. And that is why the president will always say exercise patience, because it looks like these policies are a long time plans or solutions to some of the problem we are facing. And some of the challenges, the pain, the hardship that Nigerians are going through, at some of the hurdles before we attain achievement.
Okay.
So do you not think that maybe Nigerians need to be more patient, or probably maybe the president, or you think the government should come up with short-term solutions to some of these problems?
Did I hear you say patient? Yes, patience is a virtue that ordinarily we should inculcate into our daily lives. But patience, it's often said that the patient dog eats the fattest bone. But sometimes the dog die while being patient, waiting for that fat bone. And I see, just yesterday, I read in the news of a woman jumping into the well only for her body to be removed the following day. What do you think? Suicide in this nation has become just a daily occurrence, and nobody is raising an eyebrow. I grew up seeing healthy Nigerians. Then in my town, we used to have a certain season that we wrestle and do all that because we are healthy. See Nigerians moving as if the air will blow them into the space.
So what would you propose the government do?
What I propose the government should do is to formulate policies that are not against the people. When you talk about policies that are not against the people, it is as if you are tilting towards the capitalists and the bourgeoisies, who now it's a situation where the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. The poor are just like slaves to the rich. You work as laborers. And I heard one speaker the other day, was it Chidi Odenkalo of the Human Rights Commission, as he then was the chairman. He talked about the kitchen and the table. There are people in the kitchen that are suffering to make meals. But some persons just sat at the table and devour everything without even remembering those that churn it out from the kitchen, because they make sure that everything is on the table without reserving any for themselves. But you at the table devoured everything. So when I talk about policies that is favorable to the people, I'm talking about, okay, now you talk about the wages. Considering the economic situation of this country, you are paying 70,000 to a worker. Sometimes I feel like crying in this nation, because it's like the Bob Marleyan philosophy of, in the midst of waters, the fool is thirsty. We are hungry in the midst of plenty. No Nigerian, under any circumstance, considering the blessedness of God upon this nation, should go to bed on an empty stomach. We are rich enough to have sufficiency. But like Helen Salif of Liberia, the then president, will say that Africans are not poor. The African nations are not poor. And I'm not saying that Nigeria is not poor, but Nigeria is poorly managed. So when you talk about policy, you are talking about the management of the resources. Do I manage these resources on behalf of the people, or for myself and for my family alone?
So what responsibility do the people have in all of this? Because policymakers, they do not just appear from nowhere. These are people that are being elected by Nigerians. So what responsibility do Nigerians have in these aspects?
One of the responsibilities of the people is to hold the people accountable. It's difficult that I've never had so difficult that a constituency recalled their representative. But some has done more than enough to be recalled. But the people are docile. Sorry about this, Nigerians. The people are not doing even what they ought to do to remedy the situation. Because we also have a duty to make sure to hold these people to accountability, to account for their stewardship. But you find out the youths who ordinarily should be angry with the situation are given peanuts. You imagine a politician with his children studying abroad, having his henchmen armed with some pistols, and they raise their shoulders that I'm a bodyguard, I'm all this, and receive peanuts from what ordinarily should be yours. And thank God that even the skit makers are bringing out and exposing the politicians. Like Shaggy the other day was when a politician called him and was about giving him 20 million naira to go and assassinate a political opponent or enemy. He said, go and call that your son. I know him. He's studying abroad. Come, let him do it. So the youths are beginning to wisen up. Like they will tell you. They say that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. That those that have been there for ages still remain there. When will they relinquish those powers to the youth? So it becomes a case of, if you can't beat them, join them over the years. But now the youths are getting wiser. And part of the responsibility of the led is this protest.
Well, while we know and it's outrightly stated that protest is a democratic right of the citizens,
yes.
I think we're totally against anything violent.
Yes.
Because we do not want to tour the path of Libya or Sierra Leone or other African countries that we've seen violent conflicts that have led to loss of lives and property, economic distorted, and like it took years before they regained like they are recovering.
Yes.
So we do not support any form of violence. I think other options is for the citizens to be responsible, especially in electing who represent them or who become their leaders. Like 2027 is already by the corner. We don't have to wait until that time before we start. Campaigns are already ongoing. So these are the times for us to scrutinize candidates, to look out for the antecedent and pedigree. You don't just wait till somebody just barge into you and just elect the person. They come up with policies that will resort to hardship as well. So it is important that we wake up also to our responsibility, not waiting for opportunities to just turn violent. I think that is also important.
Yes, it is. But you heard the president saying that he doesn't have any cabal and he owes no allegiance to the cabals. He used his money for his campaigns. When in the days gone by, there was this jingle when I was in Benin in the 80s that usually say money politics is a stumbling block to a good and orderly government. And he will end up by saying, shun the money bags. But the unfortunate thing is that we don't shun them. We sell our rights for peanuts. Because everybody is hungry. They capitalize on your poverty and your needs. Just like Joseph Stalin, as the one-time leader of the Russian, he said that the political power, for you to maintain a political power, he asked for a cock. He threw away the feathers and left it bare. And he put it on the floor, got some corn, and was moving, throwing it, and the cock or the hen was following him and picking it. And they said that is how to maintain political power. Impoverish them, give them peanuts, and they will be subservient to you. They will do your bidding. And that is exactly what we're allowing ourselves do. Somebody will come with your money that belongs to you that he has embezzled, and they will give you a peanut and you'll clap. God forbid.
That's quite unfortunate. I'm optimistic that we're becoming more aware, and then the trajectory or the story is going to change.
That is the point. Things are changing, and you are saying, no, stay docile, don't protest. And we are saying no.
Nobody should be violent, and that's what we are totally against violence.
And nobody should be violent, and the government is under duty to also come around with the and make sure that there is no violence.
Of course.
And if you see any getting, arrest him. You don't shoot.
That's true.
Pick him up, keep him somewhere, while protecting
the citizen.
The
And
citizens.
it's also important that
That is
governments
the
are
point.
also proactive.
Very
Reactive
proactive.
measures should not be what
Exactly.
but proactive, so
Exactly.
that we can avert all of this. But quickly,
Exactly.
let me draw your attention to the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority's Chief Executive Farouk Ahmed, who said that Dangote and other local refineries have been producing inferior fuel, petroleum product, particularly diesel. And then there have been a lot of controversy, especially between the president of the Dangote and the Nigerian Downstream and Midstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, alongside with the NNPCL. They have been locked down in some disputes, and it has been ranging from issues around monopoly allegation, substandard petroleum product, especially diesel, and supply of crude oil to the refinery. You know, earlier we saw how that Dangote was saying, no, the NNPCL are actually going against the agreements. You know, they have 20% shares, but since they have been going against, maybe their percentage will drop and all of that. And we got the revelation from NMDPR saying that, see, in fact, like I was just wondering, something that came or happened to Nigeria that everybody was celebrating, like a project that by all definition attained the stature of a national interest, and today is being marred by a depth of embarrassing controversy. That's what is actually playing out, and it is not just playing out within Nigeria, but in the international scene. And it's like you rightly say, unfortunate, and a lot of people are already saying, what is all this? We've seen our president traveling round trying to lure investors, but today one of the major domestic investors in this country is now faced with this controversy that he had to come out and say, my friends are laughing at me because they warned me against investing in Nigeria. And this is what for years we have been clamoring for, having our refineries worked. And since the government have been investing money and we're not seeing our refineries being refurbished and working, an individual decided to invest in the energy sector. And rather than we seeing like applause and encouragement, what we are seeing is that something that a lot of people have described as embarrassing. So what do you make of all of these allegations? There have been allegations saying, oh, it has been inferior product, but Dangote came out to say, no, it is not. When the members of the House of Representatives went to the refinery, he had to test the product for them, even saying that, see, I'm not just producing what is good, but what is even more than what is being imported. So what do you make of this?
As a matter of fact, I doff for Dangote. I encourage his bravery. He is a man of courage, and he has stated emphatically that he's going to fight head on to the finish. That statement was quite unfortunate. The CEO of Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Quite unfortunate. I don't know, somebody about 2 days ago that said that Dangote has tinkered with their honeypot. You know that sector over the years has been in a state of, what do I put it, is in a cocoon, so to say. The activities seem not to entirely be transparent. And it seems that Dangote is trying to demystify the oil sector. And those who have sat on the wealth of the nation over the year, Dangote rightly called them what they are, the cabals. And those are the people that have held Nigeria to the jugular over the years. You can imagine Nigerians have refinery abroad, of which Dangote stated it clearly, in Malta, and I think somewhere in Brazil, owned by Nigerians. What's your problem? And it's one of those that are now laughing at him, that they warned him. They want him to go elsewhere and build that refinery so that they will be in the same bandwagon, export our crude, refine, import. Sometimes I sit down to even weep for this nation. We have refineries that are moribund, that are non-functional. What stops you from revamping and reactivating those refineries? The salary that are paid to the staff of these refineries runs into billions.
True.
Yet they do nothing.
We've had rehabilitations and
Rehabilitations still ongoing yearly. If you hear the amounts that are being pushed into that dead horse to make it rise. How do you beat a dead horse to rise?
Currently, about 3 billion naira has been invested in the Port Harcourt and Kaduna refinery.
And those monies don't go nowhere. They go into public, private coffers or private pockets. So the statement of Ahmed Farouk, to all intents and purposes, is just to expose them. That they thought or they are thinking somebody is coming to rock our boat. Our boat was sailing in quiet waters, and somebody has stirred the honest nest and is now turbulent.
So how is this rubbing on our image, especially at the international scene?
The truth of the matter is that it is actually scary. Like the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria put it, that in other words, they are demarketing the local contents, the local company, and everything about Nigeria. If a Nigerian can say that a Nigerian product to the world is substandard, if oil, which is the mainstream economy of this nation, somebody, a Nigerian who is an insider, an expert, who should know, will come out in the open and tell the whole world that that product that gives Nigeria, that lays the golden egg, is substandard. If you're a man of wisdom and you are a good businessman, can you go investing in such economy?
But let's not take away the fact that this is a regulatory body. This is a body that is saddled with the responsibility of checkmating all of that.
Agreed.
We've had instances where, people's cars have been developing problems because of the quality of the fuel that they use and all of that. But do you not think that instead of being emotional, maybe we should, there should be call for investigation rather than just concluding?
Actually, many people have called for investigation, and first of all, the suspension of Ahmed Farouk. The House of Rep has called on the federal government to suspend them. The Youth Coalition, all meaningful Nigerians say suspend him. Okay, let's investigate and find out. When you talk about people's car getting broken down because of substandard, I must tell you that before now, I don't know whether it's still in existence, the black market has mixed it with some certain liquids in their bid to make it.
In fact, Dangote alleged that that's what they're actually into, some of the substandard products.
Of course. Dangote's products. Anyway, I'm not an expert in that field. But I know that Dangote mean well for Nigeria. And as to the allegation of being monopolistic, I don't think that we sell. The government is there. The government allows monopoly if the government is benefiting from it. But if it doesn't favor the government, they cannot allow an individual being monopolistic, but to some extent. Dangote's products is somehow being monopolistic. But then, if there is a monopoly in that market and it's favoring the citizenry, is there anything wrong in that? We will say that, yes, monopoly in every sector is not good. Let there be a level playing ground. Let there be competitiveness, because it is in competition that the best is seen.
So how can the NNPCL now manage its interest toward its own refining operation without undermining these dominant players?
The dominant players are there, and the
because
NNPC,
we have refineries,
exactly.
So how can
they need collaboration? They are to collaborate with these dominant players in the sector. There should be a level playing ground. And like I said, they should make it competitive. They have a role to give, an enabling environment for the dominant players and them as well, without undermining their own interests. They have a duty to protect their interests, and at the same time, having the dominant players have a conducive environment upon which they can operate. It's as simple as that.
You know, it's really sacrosanct, because over
It
the
is.
years we have been looking at economic growth, and one of the area or aspect is having direct foreign investors coming in,
Exactly.
and then and why people have been talking against issues of insecurity, how that the government need to come in and ensure that there's security and safety, so that foreign investors can actually come in, invest, and then this will actually lead to growth of the economy. You have people being employed, you have these people impacting on our GDP and all of
Exactly.
that. So instead of having the marketing taking place and discouragement of domestic and local investors, I mean, I was just thinking, so how can a foreign investor want to come when
That
he's
is the
seeing
point.
how, like, a domestic investor who has invested heavily in a country being treated this way? In fact, at some point, Dangote was like, see, I'm ready to give this out.
To the NNPC. He
yes,
said
to
something like,
NNPC.
to tell you the fact, Dangote Refinery, when it finally comes into operation, will employ not less than 300,000 to 400,000 Nigerians. You can imagine that vast number having their daily or monthly pay and sustaining their livelihood from there.
That's a good one. But a quick question before we go, because our
Okay.
time is actually fast spent.
It's all right. It's okay.
Now, the president has been accused of being silent in all of these, especially regarding the image, how this whole controversy would rub on the image of Nigeria as a nation, especially at the international scene.
Okay.
What proactive measures can the government or the president take to address this controversy?
The government as well can go just like the NNPC, collaboration and policy reforms. Policy reforms in terms of that regulatory body. You see, it's just like the upstream as well. Upstream is involved in the production. They are mainly about the production of the crude. And now, a very sensitive question that has been asked over the years by the then CBN governor, and before and now the 16th Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi. How many barrels of crude oil is Nigerians' production? No, the production first. The number of the barrels of crude being produced. These people, this upstream commission, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, is saddled with this responsibility, and have been mute over this question. How can you say that you are a producer, you don't know the quantity you produce? And he also asks, the dollars that we sell that ordinarily should come in from this crude sale, where are they going to? So most times we find out that the government is like being in between the devil and the deep blue sea. The government is on this side. You gain from here, you gain from here, and you don't know, you don't want to take decision. So there is need for the government to be proactive, collaborate, reform the policies. All this what are they called? The midstream and the downstream authority. Before now, they had a name. Their name was the Department of Petroleum Resources.
Sure.
I think I agree with that more than all this downstream,
well,
midstream.
I think in all of these, There's need for transparency and accountability.
Exactly. Oh.
And there is also need for forensic audit so that Nigerians can know what actually has transpired and what is actually transpiring in this sector. Because, I mean, governance is not just about some few individuals or about interests of the few, but it's about the people. So they own it to the people to be transparent and accountable.
And it is in that opaqueness of the government that we don't know what you are doing. The subsidy you said you removed, where is it going to? You're not being transparent. You're not being accountable. The billions that was set to be removed from the, what is it called? The subsidy. Where does it go to? You can't account for them.
A lot of questions.
A lot of questions that remains unanswered. And that is what bringing up, and the government must give answers to them.
Very true. I totally agree with you. We need answers.
We need answers.
The government
is part of the protest.
Are being elected by the people.
Yes.
And so they owe it to the people to be accountable
and transparent.
Our time is actually fast spent. I will need to draw the curtain at this point. Thank you so much, Samson Ike Esquire, for creating time to speak with us and giving us your great perspective on the issues. And to our viewers out there, we really appreciate you for staying with us on today's edition of National Talk. Remember that democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it real good and hard. Until we come your way next week, stay blessed.